Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 2 of BESA. So today, Ashish is actually on vacation. So it'll be all of us who will be hosting you. Uh, and as always, let's start with the icebreaker question. So let me first add uh, screen on this one, right? Yes. So let's start from here and let's talk about what's the weather like where you are right now. And while you're adding the comments, let me introduce all the volunteers also. It's me, Prasad here, and then I have with me today Anil. And then we have joining Rama. He's joining us for the first time. Then, as you know, Parna was there last year, in the last batches and last session too.
Last
And
year too as well.
last year too, yes, exactly. And then Achal. Let me see if there's any other volunteers who have joined us. I see a few other in the backstage, so let me add them. It's Laura. Oh, what a beautiful scene. Laura, thank you for joining. Hey, Laura.
Hey, everyone.
Put it in this view. And then we have Kavya and Anmol in case if you folks wants to come on the screen. So while,
Everyone.
while we'll be, delivering the session, you will have all the AWS volunteers behind the scenes to answer the questions. So feel free to ask your questions in the YouTube chat. But while you are doing so, please do not ask repetitive questions. Look at what questions others are asking. And if the question has already been answered, it will be good not to have the same questions again and again. As always, after the session, we will have Discord channel for the support. But let me look into the comments about, it's breezy in Mumbai. It's hot wherever. So in London, it is sunny, thankfully today. It's not that hot, but it is sunny. It's very less that we get sun here, but thankfully today it is a bit sunny. And we miss Ashish Banerjee. Don't ask how much I miss Ashish, being here. But yeah, he'll be back again next week. So that should be good. And then it's sunny in Bangalore, sunny and hot, cool. Okay, so let's continue. I'll remove everyone and we'll go through some basic stuff and then we will come to the technical session. So with that, I'm going to remove the volunteers for now from the screen. And add the screen here. Okay. Thanks everyone for joining. I see quite a lot of people already there. Okay, so for anyone who is joining us for the first time in this batch, we are focusing on Agentic AI on AWS. The batch started last weekend, which was 21st February, and it will go on for 6 weeks. Every weekend, we live stream for 90 minutes on Saturday from 3 p.m. GMT to 5 p.m. GMT. And then during the live stream, we talk about technical, we talk about behavioral, and we also talk about the workshops, and we'll give you all the information about the workshops which towards the end of the session. And we do have a learning partner, WizLabs, who provide free resources for you. Most of you should have got the email. In case if you have not got, do not worry. We bulk upload everyone who register with us, and they will get an email directly from WizLabs. Okay. In terms of detailed agenda for these 6 weeks, in the first week, what we covered last time was on the technical track, foundations of AI agents. The recordings of it can be found on YouTube. You can also access it from the Tech Creator site. Whichever way you would like to choose, it doesn't matter. It's whatever we are live streaming, it is instantly available on the YouTube as a recording. In the behavioral track, we did have a keynote chat with Roland, and that was great. Thank you for all the great feedback for that. And then the hands-on workshop, and this is where I know that few of the people struggled in terms of requesting the access and getting the access code with emails going into spam. We've tried to resolve a lot of issues, so hopefully it will be smoother experience. There are around 2,600 people who have registered for workshops this time till the cutoff time, which was 10 a.m. GMT. If you have missed the cutoff time, apologies, we will not be able to provide the workshop environment, but you should be able to do the workshops in your own AWS accounts. And we do have recorded the video, which will be live at 4:30 GMT towards the end of this live stream that you can watch. Okay. Now, this week, we'll start with the technical track, which is building with Agentic AI. And Anil and Parna would be taking the session today. And then in the behavioral track, we have AI as a solutions architect assistant. That's what we'll be talking about. And Jeff Scott and Raj Menon would be taking that session. And then finally, me and Parna would help you get started on the hands-on workshop. We'll give you a preview of what the workshop is and how to get started. And by that time, whoever has chosen the slot one as the workshop, they would be getting the emails with the access code, and even the walkthrough video will be live. Cool. So now let's go to the next. So this is a session format. First 60 minutes, it will be technical track, then 30 minutes behavioral track, developing the SA mindset in the AI era. And the final 30 minutes will be workshop. And weekly badges on the Tech Creator website. You will be able to go through the knowledge check or the quiz. It's a 15 quiz that would be live after the live stream. And you would be able to complete the knowledge check, which has a 80% passing mark. You can attempt it as many times as you would like. And if you do that, you will be able to get a badge. So last week, I know a lot of people have got this badge. And okay, this quizzes would be available till the end of the BESA session, which is 31st March. You don't need to rush it to do it this week. Take your time in learning and attempt it. Workshop has a time limit because we provision the workshop environments for, but the quizzes and badges, you have 6 weeks time. So do not worry on that. And anyone who completes all the 6 weeks, they would get a certificate of appreciation from us. With that, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to play a welcome video from a Swami who is a VP of AWS Agentic AI Services. So let me do that, and let's have a welcome video for him. Like, he wanted to come in, but obviously, having a schedule with him was difficult. So he recorded a short video for us all to get started. So let me bring that up.
Everyone, I'm very pleased to welcome you all to this next cohort of the Become a Solutions Architect Bootcamp program, or BISA. Since its launch 4 years ago, BISA has provided mentorship and hands-on workshops to more than 20,000 learners. Over the next few weeks, you will get a deeper understanding of the cloud and agentic AI services on AWS. Today, AI agents are transforming industries from software development to drug research, from precision agriculture to architectural design. Now, what excites me most about this era of AI isn't just the technology itself, but what it enables. Faster iteration, more reliable agents, and AI that is accessible to everyone, even if you don't have a technical background. This is a great time to be part of this journey. I hope you make connections with your peers, ask questions, learn, and be curious. I can't wait to see what you will build in this amazing future. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone, for this. And thanks, Swami, for recording this video for us to welcoming for this batch. With that, let's go ahead and start with our technical track. I'll add Anil and Parna to the stage. So,
Prasad, so I'll just share my screen.
yes.
Yeah.
What did you think of the video, Anil?
Amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, really great to see Swami speaking about this, community. That's really awesome. And I met once when I was there in the reInvent. Yeah, so glad to see his video here. So maybe in future again, I'm going to meet. Yeah, thanks.
Parna, are you sharing your screen? I cannot see the screen yet.
Just a minute, yeah. Just juggling with my screen.
Come on, Parna, you are customer today, so you need to be there on time. Because the problem I'm going to solve
make
for
you wait, right? I'm going to
Yeah.
be pricey and make you wait.
Yeah, no worries.
Awesome.
Are you able to see the screen share and the slides?
Yes,
I can.
all good.
Yeah.
I'm going to
All
off
good?
screen and leave you to take the technical session. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Prasad. Yeah. Over to you, Parna. I want you to start.
Sure. Hello, everyone, and hello, Anil. I'm so glad to have you here. Me and my team of engineers who are aspiring to become ML engineers. We are trying to build an agentic AI system, and we are really struggling. There are a whole
Mhm.
lot of models by so many service providers. We are like so confused. We really need a help of a seasoned solution architect like you who can give us a whole lot of tips. So thank you for being here.
Yeah. Thank Parna. So before I start, just let me introduce. Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Anil. I'm a solution architect. I'm based in London, and it's been like more than 3 years working in ISP. I mean, I'm taking care of ISP customers. So great to be the part of this, initiative. And thanks, Prasad and Assis and Parna, of course. So today I'm going to just play a essay role here, and Parna is going to ask questions. So I'm going to take up those questions and answer. It's just like a discovery kind of, how SA behave in the real situation. So that's what actually I'll be doing. I'll be going I'll try to give some tips and, tricks like how to handle difficult situations. So start with Parna. So since you have asked these questions, like, your team is trying to build some agentic AI solution, and you are looking for a kind of, how you can select the model. Is that correct, Parna? Okay. So, generally, first, I would like to ask questions this way. Rather than uh, selecting the which model basically would be good fit for your agentic. So the way I would approach, I would like to know what exactly and what kind of things you are trying to build, or I would ask another questions like a kind of business problem that you are trying to solve. If you can help me with this, probably that would be great to start from, rather than choosing the model directly, right?
Sure. So let me start by saying that we are a SaaS platform, and
Mm-hmm.
our customers are insurance companies, and we are trying to build an AI agent for automating the entire claims processing and handling. So that's what we are trying to achieve, and we've headed for a roadblock, and we just don't know how to proceed ahead. So maybe you can
Oh,
help.
okay. Great. So thanks for letting me know. Okay, so let me just ask you a very specific thing. Do you mind sharing the detail, like kind of like what kind of steps, a kind of step-by-step process you'd like to tell us? Tell me that how you are trying to, for example, let's say if you are in your system, there is some claim processing, happen, then how it happens and how you are thinking to do it in without agentic AI. So if you can help me the process, I can look into that, how I can help you with that.
Absolutely. So I'd like to let you know that currently it's completely manual. So there are claim handlers who actually go through the uploaded claim application. So these are like bulky applications that they need to rigorously read through. Then
Mhm.
they need to refer to lengthy documentation, which are policy coverage clauses, etc. They need to analyze those. They need to cross reference the policy details from our policy management system.
Mhm.
Then they need to actually analyze, do deep reasoning, and then come to a conclusion, whether to accept it or reject it, or probably escalate it to a senior handler. And of course, at the end, they'll have to even document how they came to that evaluation. So it's a whole lot of manual work, and lot of it's prone to a lot of errors. Of course, it's a lengthy process. So this is the whole
Okay.
thing that we're trying to completely automate. AI is here, we want to leverage it completely.
Okay. Nice. Well, let me just ask a few more questions on this. How long does this take per claim? For example, let's say if you are going to submit claim, then how much time it does take? And another thing, what kind of document you pass into your system? Is it text, image, or maybe table, or it's a combination of all of them, or maybe some of them, right? So what happened? And another questions I would like to ask just to understand. Let's say if you build the agent, what if agents makes a wrong decisions? So do you
Hmm.
have any kind of let's say let's say if I submit a claim and your agent that you have built it and made some wrong decisions. In that case, what will happen? Is there any lawsuit or something happens against company? Yeah.
Definitely. So, firstly, the duration of time. So, you asked me how long does it take. So,
Yeah.
obviously, this has to be highly accurate decision.
Hmm.
So, our claim handlers usually can take anywhere from days to weeks. So, you can
Okay.
imagine the amount of time that gets wasted, even for standard low risk claims as well. They need to do a lot of due diligence, and that's where the time is taken. We would
Okay.
obviously like to reduce this to seconds using
Hmm.
agentic AI. And you also asked me what kind of documents or what kind of supplementary material does this claim require. So remember that there can be different kinds of insurance. There could be automobile or medical or housing. So depending upon the insurance types, there are even images which are uploaded, photographs for damages, which are assessed by the claims handler to understand the severity, the authenticity. There are handwritten claim forms which needs to
Hmm.
be analyzed. There are police reports, there are medical reports if it's a medical insurance thing. So there's a whole lot of unstructured data that goes in, so text as well as image. So those kind of information are uploaded by the claimant. And yes, and that's the reason you can understand how long this takes.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for clarifying. So there are a few more questions because I just like I'm trying to probe into your
Go ahead.
system to understand end to end. Okay. So you mentioned. I mean, is there any way you check the policy? Is there any system that you make API call to check the what kind of policy it is or a kind of rules or regulations that you have inbuilt, and it is there is system there, and you are making API call to know about it. And does a system, I mean, does your system make a kind of interaction with some other system as well? So is there any possibility that your agent would be making API call to some other system as well? Do
Yes.
you have clarity on this? Yeah.
Yes, so it's
Okay.
like a multi-step workflow, I would say, and
Mm-hmm.
the claims handler has to interact with a number of systems. So we have a policy management system, which is
Mm-hmm.
kind of, you can say, our database system that it interacts with to retrieve all the policy details. So a lot of validations need to be done to authenticate and validate the claimant, right? So that
Yeah.
is one. Then they need to refer to a whole lot of policy coverage related and clauses. These are heavy dose documents which we have uploaded to S3. So these
Mm-hmm.
are very large documents. Those are also referred to. Apart from that, we obviously need to check for fraudulent claims, right? There could be duplicate claims. There could be
Mm-hmm.
inconsistency in filling that. There could be some recurrent patterns. So we need to hit third party APIs which we use for checking these fraudulent claims. So we use that
Okay.
as well. And finally, there is our claim system workflow that our claim handler uses to actually put in all the details and then updating status. So all of these together fall a part of the workflow.
Wow, nice. Yeah, thanks for giving the complete details. So let me just reflect back and what I heard from you. I would like to summarize so that we are on the same page. We understood like what's the exact problem you are trying to solve with the help of a building agent. So the first point that you said like it takes I mean there's a long document and it a processing time takes like I mean you have a long document first of all, and then second is like you are making a API call to other third party system or databases, and you're looking for high accuracy of decision making. And
Yeah.
there should be a kind of, I mean, your agent should be able to explain that how it has made a decision, right? Means you are looking for auditability as well. And
Yes.
what I learned from this conversation, I see your document contains maybe text and images as well. So it's like a combination of these two because you said there'll be some accident and the photograph has been taken. You'd be passing that as a claim. And the last one was like you're looking for reasonable response time. Is that correct?
Yes. So now, when I say reasonable, so it's it depends. So, but I would ideally, we would like it to be under 5 seconds. So this is
Hmm.
okay for our high volume, low risk kind of claims. But however, for the complex ones which require heavy evaluation, we are okay to sacrifice a few seconds here and there. So that is our
Oh, okay.
expectation. And
Hmm.
I'm just going back to a question which was unanswered. I think you had asked me what are the implications for the
Yeah.
accuracy need, and I want to reiterate that how important it is. So there are a lot of compliances and regulatory bodies which are looking at us. So the auditability part and the decision
Hmm.
making has to be absolutely accurate. Why? Because if there are inaccurate or fraudulent claims, there are financial implications obviously for us as a company. uh, in uh, in case it is completely wrong and we've been unfair, there could be lawsuits, there
Hmm.
could be poor customer experience. Yeah, we'll so those kind of things are really going to impact our brand and image as well. So accuracy is absolute essential, and latency, like I said, under 5 seconds. Hope that
Perfect. Yeah,
helps.
that's what. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, that's what actually I wanted to understand so that I can think of like how we can find the good models.
Hmm.
Understand here the whole idea, because you started with like what you got like so many models. Of course, in Bedrock, I'll talk about that in detail. But yeah, so it's not about selecting getting the model and starting with that. It's always to look at what kind of problem you're trying to solve, right? So I
Okay.
got the fair idea what kind of problem you're trying to solve.
Okay.
So now I have another question before we move to the next part, where we can discuss about like what are the models available and what's the best way to go forward, right?
Hmm.
So, because you are working, your entire team is there. So, I would like to understand what is the team experience with the AIML? Do they have a kind of experience working with the IML problem, or and how about the experience with AWS services, for example, Bedrock or SageMaker or any other AWS services? So that would help me understand if we can go for managed services, or maybe we can think of like unmanaged services as well. So yeah, that would be really great if you can help me with that. Yeah.
Sure. So our team is still upskilling on AI/ML. So
Hmm.
we have several DevOps engineers who are kind of moving into the AI/ML space, but they've not really deployed any AI applications in productions ever.
Yeah.
However, we have a deep expertise in backend development who have Python
Hmm.
expertise. So that's a good thing. We have that expertise. We do not have any data scientists as such and do not plan to hire. So that's not really in our plans. And
Yeah.
because we don't plan to build a model from scratch, and hence we were looking at Bedrock, we don't want any infrastructure overhead and maintenance. So we are purely looking at the least operational overhead on us. So
Yeah. Yeah. I
most
got your
terms,
point, and that's
yeah,
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Complete if you want to say something.
yeah.
Yeah.
So with that particular team, with like I said, we have certain engineers who have worked on AWS services. So I would say we have awareness of core services, but not AI/ML service stack as such.
Yeah, no worries. So the perfect context, like that's tell me like we should focus on managed services rather than unmanaged, or any other services which required a kind of expertise to do it. So what's the advantage of managed service? Like for example, Bedrock, if I say, it's keep like simple, minimize operational overhead. It's a managed service, so you have not to do anything. You just API calls and you are good. So
Mhm.
yeah, so let's talk about Bedrock model that fits into your needs. I got your complete scenario. So let me, how I'm going to talk about how you make the decisions about selecting the model. But before I
Okay.
talk about that, let me just give you a little idea how Bedrock works and what exactly the Bedrock is. You already said that your team is little aware about, and Bedrock is something that not. Your team is not much aware. But just to
Hmm.
let you know, Bedrock gives you say, access to model from multiple providers using single API. So if you look at in nowadays in market, there are many providers are there. For example, Anthropic like Claude,
Hmm.
Llama. I mean, Amazon itself, have many models available. I'll talk about that. So you can see that the different model providers are there, but using Bedrock, what you can do, you can choose the model of your. I mean, you can choose the model which is good fit for your use case, and using single API, you can go ahead and implement. So the best part with the Bedrock is it does not only provide the model choices, it provides other features as well. So I would not go through the feature part, but just to let you know, because this discussion is more restricted to like which model would be good fit for your use case, right? So let's stick to that. So I would go this way. I would choose a framework. Is something like we call like capability, latency, cost, and feature. These are the four important aspects that we would like to look at and uh, try to fit all your the use case that you have spoken about uh, to these four capabilities. Like for example, four things that we can look into, and based on that we can make a decision that yes, this model would be good fit, or maybe we can think of using multi-model. It's not like only one model would be good fit for solving entire problem. So
That's
let's
correct,
start with
actually.
the
And so, because
yeah
I was thinking, because while we were looking at so many models, I was wondering if there is a possibility to mix and match models. And like you're
yeah of
saying, there
course
is a possibility, right? Because I think different models would have different features. Like you said, these four are the key features based on which we can choose our models, right? So I'm guessing the choice of models will be very key depending upon their features, capability, like you said, because I
yeah
think we have a very complex workflow with deep reasoning, so that is very important that it should be able to do that. And
yeah
latency is our criteria, like I told you, under 5 seconds. And cost, we want a balanced cost.
yeah
We don't want to sacrifice accuracy, right? So give
yeah
us
that's
some
the yeah
options
that's the
for that.
Yeah, that's the reason I wanted to bring these four part like capability. What exactly the capability mean is let's understand and let's do a little dive deep on this side. And I'll
Elaborate.
have some questions basically. So based on that we can think of. So first let's talk about the capability, right? So I would like to ask some questions. So
Okay.
your claim, I mean, if you look at your claim said like, I mean, your claim tries requires complex reasoning about coverage, right? And
Right.
some models are better at this than others. For example, let's say, uh, I mean, I'm just trying to reflect back to your problem statement. You said
Hmm.
that it's required a kind of strong reasoning. So
Hmm.
you see, in Bedrock, there are many models are there. Some
Hmm.
models are very good at making decisions and doing some strong reasoning. So that's the reason we have to check that which model would be good fit for your use case that performs the reasoning, right? So that's the reason we talk about the capability side. So if you look at here, I'm in the slide deck, you can see here, uh, we have like many model providers, including Anthropic and Amazon Noah, Meta, and Mistral, and there are so many. So and don't stick to this model only. I'm just it's the informational only, so you
Hmm.
can decide based on the your requirement. So I'm trying to help you unblock a kind of what are the
The
capabilities
possibility.
Bedrock has, so that you
Hmm.
can make a informed decision. That's the whole idea. So if you
Absolutely.
look at the Entropic one, I mean, recently like Opus 4.6 got launched, Sonnet 4.6 is already there. So, and HiQ 4.6. So they have a different capabilities, right? So
Hmm.
now based on your use case, since it's required like a strong reasoning, so we can go with model that's provide a strong reasoning, right? And cost is at the lower side. So we have to trade off between what we are trying to achieve. Can we achieve with the minimum cost and without losing our SLA, means the kind of business goal we have. So the capability part take care of that things, right? And I have another question for you.
Sure.
Uh, you said like for your claim prices, like how complex. I mean, how complex your let's say if you just pass your claim
Hmm.
document. So how complex is the reasoning over there? Means, is there any edge cases that require nuance judgment? Means, let's say if there is some, the policy, I mean, kind of claim a document that you have passed in. So sometimes a model would not be able to make decision that if this belongs to this particular policy or this policy. Is this kind of things are also there?
Yes, absolutely. So the claims can be quite complex.
Okay.
Firstly, it has to even classify what kind of insurance, what kind of claim it is, which bucket it falls under. So it needs to actually analyze that. And once it
Yeah.
has done that, and broken it down into the queue, it has to refer to multiple clauses and interrelate those clauses and
Mhm.
understand where it falls under. Look at the policy details, what all it is covered. So there is whole lot of dynamic reasoning and deep reasoning
Yeah.
it has to do, and constantly reflect back on
Yeah.
decision it's trying to reach, so you can
Yeah.
understand the depth and the thinking power we require in the model.
Perfect. Yeah, that's what actually, that's the reason I wanted to look at the capability part. So you see like many providers are there, and they provides a different model. They got a different capability, including what we call like a strong reasoning, right?
Right.
So if you look at, I mean, if you go back the previous slide, and if you look at the models, can you see here Amazon Nova? We have like a Pro, I mean Nova 2 Pro. That is
Hmm.
something help. I mean, it's like a more. It got a more reasoning power. Similarly, with the Anthropic Claude, I mean, in a Claude, you can see there are different model that is really very strong in reasoning. So if your use case required a strong reasoning or complex decision makings, then we need to think of like going with the Pro or maybe premium one.
Okay.
But let's talk about the other features, because once we look at all the four dimensions, based on
Hmm.
that we can think of like which model or maybe different models together would be final decisions to go with, right? So let me
Right.
ask you another questions. You mentioned like I mean, handler, especially the let's say if I submit a claim, so I cannot
Hmm.
wait for a long time to know my decisions, right? If it is
Right.
agent, then it should be making some decisions quickly.
Correct.
So what exactly the latency requirement is? You said earlier that's like 5 second for the
Yes.
response, or is it something you can tolerate for some more time? The
So
reason I'm asking, let me just add some more points. Sorry to interrupt you. The reason I'm trying to, give this context, because there are models, they are really good,
hmm.
but if you give some more time, so of course you can balance, I mean, trade off between cost and latency, right? So that's the
Right.
reason I'm thinking if you can allow some more time, so of course you can reduce the cost as well. So that's the idea. So my question is it, I mean, your system can tolerate like more time for latency requirement?
Yes, we can tolerate, like I said, if it's complex claims, so we are okay to cross our 5 second limit, so that's all
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
And if
Perfect.
we're getting a definite cost benefit, like taking say a smaller model which will cost us less but is
Hmm.
faster, but it is accurate, of course, then we
Yeah.
can choose that also, because we have multiple stages in our entire workflow. So I would like to know if we can fit other models in between as well.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I'm going to talk about that in some time, because I'm just trying to touch
Hmm.
upon all the four dimension. Once we understand this part, as a customer, you, because you would be working with your team. So then, how do you make a decisions to select the right model for the right case? Maybe you have a lengthy process, like for example, claim process require at different stages. In each
Hmm.
stage, you need a different kind of capabilities, right? So maybe you are going to build not only one agent, maybe you'll be building different agent. One agent would be doing certain tasks, another agent would be doing certain tasks.
Correct.
So maybe
Right.
one agent need just a model that's required a text related information, but another agents require a kind of let's say analyzing the image, right? In that case, you
Correct.
need a
Division
model
too.
that, yes, vision capability you need. So it's not a one fit solution. I mean, there's no I mean, we cannot pick a model that can perform all the tasks, but yes, we can think of like having a different model for the different stages. We'll look into this in a while when we talk about. I'll talk about a little bit about the different architecture pattern, where we can see that if there is a multi-model, I kind of pipeline how to build the pipeline so that we can see which model would be good fit for just making a decision that yes, this is a text requirement, or this is like a multi-model, or maybe text and image both can be done together. Yeah. So let me ask another question, because we are clear about reasoning part, because your
Yes,
use
so
case required
that's
a strong
clear.
reasoning. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
the
that's
second
clear.
thing that is.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so I understand that we can also use something called as evaluations. Correct me if I'm wrong. That
Yes.
where I compare different models, their performance, their latency and cost, all these factors that you mentioned about in general latency, cost, and how well
Yes.
they perform. And we can use something called as bedrock evaluation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. You heard right. So, and that's what my next question. And thanks for bringing this. And I really love this kind of customer who are little already informed. So thanks for letting me know, because it's very difficult sometimes to bring the right information. I mean, pulling the right information from the customer. So it's really good to know that you are already aware of some of the things. That's really good. Yeah. So the next part that I wanted to bring is like, and I would like to understand, and based on that, I'll talk about like how we can go ahead and manage the part that you are talking about. So you said, what are your expected volume? Like, for example, let's say today there's a 5 claim, next day 10 claim, or 20 claim, or what's the volume of the claim would be coming? It's like because it help us make informed decisions that how to build our agentic solutions that can scale as well. So we have to look at the scalability part, right? So that's, and where we can see that how we can manage the cost, right? So
True.
can you just help me with that? Like, do you have idea that what would be the volume of the requests coming into your system? I mean, the system that we are going to build.
To be frank, we have just thought of this idea about having this AI agent, and we have kind of conveyed it to our potential customers.
Hmm.
We are not really sure about the kind of volume right now. We will test it with a pilot customer, but
Hmm.
we saw great response from all of them. So I'm hoping that we will have a whole lot of volume, especially during business hours, and this is bound to grow and scale over time. So I
Yeah.
don't have a clear number that can give you, but I can tell you that it's going to be a huge volume. We need consistent performance, and we'll have a large throughput that is necessary for
Yeah,
the agent.
Parna, this is completely okay. And I mean, when I talk to many other customers as well, we have experienced that sometimes customers are not very sure about like uh, how much or kind of what kind of volume is going to come in for their system. So
Hmm.
there's an approach, like there's a best strategy for that. Uh,
Okay.
the first strategy is like, okay, you can go and build the POC. And as I said earlier, and we were talking about, I mean, your question was like, is there any way to evaluate different models and
Hmm.
kind of price as well? So
Right.
first, let me bring the pricing, points here. In
Hmm.
Bedrock or any model, if you look at, most of the models are charging you based on the number of token,
Okay.
passed and
Hmm.
consumed. Like, for example, if you are passing, let's say 100 token, or you are getting, let's say 200 tokens, so altogether, whatever number is, you'd be charged based on that number of tokens passed in. The same concept is there with the Bedrock as well. So the point I'm trying to explain to you, let's say if we have let's say two models, we would like to evaluate that out of these two models, which one is be good fit for in terms of latency, in terms of price. If we pass, let's say, the same prompts to both the model, and we can look into that which model is performing better for my use case, especially the kind of segment of out of your entire pipeline, which segment we are trying to solve. If it can answer and it can solve the same, I mean, the prompt that you have passed, with the same prompt, if you get the answer, the better answer with the minimum price, we'd like to go with that. The whole idea is to ensure that we are trying to achieve our business goal with the minimum cost, right? That way we can definitely look into, right? And by the way, uh, if you remember on the you know model side, there are different models are there, and if you look at the model number of what you call you must have seen like let's say Meta 70 billion. So that's the
Hmm.
parameters. The higher the numbers, of course, higher the capability, but
Got-
price is also would be the higher side. So we
Yeah,
need
the
to
more
look at
powerful
that.
it is, right? So that
Yes.
means it will
So
consume more tokens, and
yeah.
hence we'll be paying more. Correct? Okay.
Yeah. So, and you have already mentioned that the document would be really long. So sometimes you have to look at the context window.
Context.
Context window is like the length of the number of tokens that you are going to pass in one go. So that's the another criteria that we have to look at. So
Right.
looking at all these things, we can see like a different kind of price tiering are there. I would not say
Hmm.
this is like a formally announced or it is written somewhere, but yes, if you look at in Amazon Noah, let's say Pro, it's like a slightly higher price side. But if you look at Lite and there are some other micro as well. And similarly in the cloud, you can see if the lower side price is of course low, uh, but yeah. So the context window is little downside. So we have to look at which model and the context window and the price latency, which one is you know going to fit into your particular case. That's how we can look into. So we can see the different kind of pricing tiers are there. So yeah, so that way it can help you to decide that which model is meeting your business
Right.
goal and would be at the lower side. So there's a pricing tier a little bit.
Got it. I'll definitely check those documents.
Mhm.
So,
So, I mean,
may
you must be wondering, like, is there any, quality difference if I go with the lower side of that, right?
Yeah,
Do
so
you
I
have,
want
yeah.
to check that with you because I was wondering, like, just to save on costs, say I
Hmm.
go for a Nova Lite, right, for my document extraction. So
Yeah.
will I lose out on any accuracy or quality, or is it that the different models are suitable for different kinds of tasks? So
Yeah.
how does that work? Yeah.
Yeah, great question. That what we need to test actually. So, but there's a different strategy. We don't need to use one model for everything. That's what I was saying, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, let me just talk about the feature requirement, and probably within that, I'll
Hmm.
cover. So, if you look at now those four, dimension, we talked about capability, we talked about latency, we talked about cost. How do we decide the cost? The next one is the feature. So, as you already mentioned that the claim contains photographs as well. So,
Hmm.
and you mentioned that you are looking for vision capability, right?
Right.
So we have to look at which model got like vision capability as well, right? So we have
All of
options. We can,
hmm.
yeah. So we have to look at those options as well. And we have to look at the price. We have to look at the latency as well. Right. So let me ask another question. And you already mentioned, I'm just trying to reiterating that. So you said that your agent would be making some calls as well, right? The third party API calls. Is that correct, right?
Yes, yes. So
Okay.
for detection of fraudulent claims, we are using
Mhm.
third-party API. So it needs to have the capability of talking to external systems.
Yeah. So here comes the another angle. So
Hmm.
not all models got tooling capability, right?
Okay.
So we have to look at the model that is going to be used for the agent, and that
Hmm.
got a tooling capability. If I say tooling means making API calls to some other. So I don't want to introduce like MCP and all that stuff right now. Maybe there'll be a separate session maybe sometimes. But yeah, for time being, let's focus on
So
tooling capability.
so
So
do
we
you mean API calls? Every API call can mean that's like a tool for the model. Do you mean that?
yes. Yeah, so
Okay.
basically in model, I mean, we'll talk about the converse API. So with the help
Hmm.
of that, your model would be making API calls. A kind of API call means there'll be tools that you have to make call. But imagine, let's say, I would like to make, create an agent bot that would
Hmm.
tell me what is the weather right now. So of course, weather, your model cannot tell you the exact weather of the day
Right.
or the time
Right.
of the time, right? So it's required API calls. So in that case, you need a tool. It means your model should be capable enough to make API calls to bring the right info, especially let's say weather or some other, right? So that's the reason I'm saying. So if you look at these four, quadrant, I mean, especially um, capability and latency, cost, and things like a features. I was trying to focus on the tooling capability. So if
Got
all these four fits into your use case, I mean, I can see this, all these four fit into your use case. So I
it.
have, a kind of, I would like to propose a kind of a model strategy, multi-model strategy for. So is it okay if I can quickly walk you through about like what kind of strategy you should go
Absolutely.
for? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So I would recommend that. I mean, based on the conversation up to this point, I can sense and I can see that uh, using one model would not be good fit. So we need to build your, your agentic solutions in four stages. First is like a document extraction part. Maybe we can use a model that is good enough to, extract the information from the document, right? Or maybe make the decisions to send it to the some other models, right? And
Right.
second is like a vision capability, like for example, image analysis part. Or the third one, which is really, really important, because as you said that, I mean, there would be a lawsuit if your agent fails somehow. It makes a wrong decisions in that case. Of course,
Right.
we need to
Correct.
have some evaluations, or metrics in place. If there is a, if it is not meeting metrics evaluations, of course, it should fail, or it should bring a human in the loop, right?
Then
So
like a
for the,
human. Yeah.
yeah. So in this case, in a policy reasoning part, we need to use a really good model that has capability of making decisions, right? That's how I see. And stage four, like of course, decision generations. Like once all these informations are there at one place, your model would be able to, make decisions based on the rules and regulations that it has brought from the different places, because it made the API call to the third party and whatnot. That means there's, I mean, you'd be implementing, your team would be implementing those things. So once the all information is there one place, then your model would be able to make decisions. So in these four stages, you can see there's no one model. There are different models, right? And we
Hmm.
can, and what is the advantage of this? So first of advantage is, if you use the, let's say, go with the highest model, or you can say the model which got all the reasoning capability, and you are going to use the same model for all the stages,
Hmm.
probably you are going to end up with paying a lot
Paying
of
money.
money,
Yeah.
right? So, but if you decide based on these four, dimensions, with the help of four dimension, you can figure it out and try to find out the sweet spot. Uh, uh, I mean, among all these four, and then that would help you to reduce the cost like 60 to 70%. I'm not saying this is the exact number, but yes,
Yeah.
I have seen
It's a huge
customer
saving.
making, yeah. So this way you can definitely, reduce the cost, and you are not losing your business, goal. I mean, the kind of business goal you have to achieve, you can achieve this way. So in nutshell, what's the things I'm trying to explain here? Uh, we should go with multi-model claim process, right? It's not like one model for the complete solution. Make sense
One.
up to this point?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. And now, with all this information that I have, next thing I would like to know is, now I want
Mhm,
to go from just a POC to a production ready workload.
mhm,
Now, what are the things that my team needs to take care of when making it resilient, reliable, a very robust system? What do they need to take care of? And one of the things I probably missed telling you about, data residency is very important. We don't
mhm.
want sensitive, critical information about our claimants to go out into other regions. We want that the data and privacy is protected and encrypted. So what all things that I can take care of using Bedrock as a service?
Yeah, thanks for asking this question. And let me walk you through first, and then I'll come to these 3 points, like especially resilience, and I'll talk about the inference profile as well, because this is something would be coming into picture.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so just to let you know, first of all, let me talk about the implementation approach. So first of
Hmm.
all, let your developers, have some sandbox account for the experimentation purpose. Let
Right.
them play with that and let them try to familiarize themselves with the capabilities of models. What are the features are there, right? And let them know as well, like different kind of patterns, like basic model invocations or multi-model comparisons, like how to do the multi-model comparisons, and tool use implementations, and how to handle the error, right? Sometimes, and to be honest, I have seen many customers struggling with this one because they believe that um, if they go ahead and use the model provided by Bedrock, it is
Hmm.
not going to throttle ever. But this is not the reality, right? So it's a
Yeah.
very common
There
pattern.
are quotas.
Yeah. So it's a
Yeah.
quota there. So if a lot of requests are started coming in, of course it's going to fail. So they need to
Hmm.
know how to fall back, right? And the
Correct.
retry mechanism as well. So maybe in a development environment, it is not making that much sense. But the moment it is in production and it fails. Like, I mean, we
Correct. We
need to
cannot
know the mechanism.
anticipate the volume, right? So we don't
Yeah.
know. So we want it to, degrade gracefully. So that's
Yeah.
where, I was very interested in knowing how can I make it resilient. So I
Yeah.
see that you mentioned about inference profile. So how is that related to resilience over here?
Yeah, so let me tell you, I mean, that's what actually I wanted to bring in. And that's the reason I explained to you that, what's the challenges sometimes, if request goes to the model in certain region, it may fail, or it may throttle. I would not say fail, maybe it throttles, right? So if
Thought
throttle means like you would not get the response from the model. In that case, Bedrock has come up with the idea of like making a routing decisions. Like if the request comes into one region, if there is a capacity issue, it can be routed to the some other region where the capacity is already there. So for that, we need to have like inference profile. So there are two types of inference profile. One is we call the cross region, and the second we call the application. So, you must be interested there. What is the difference between these two? So, cross
yeah, very
region means, yeah. So, cross region means like, this is like a group of, regions. If one region, capacity in one region's got throttled, so of course it would be rerouting your request to the some other region, which is predefined. So you can look into that. You can use the cross reference for allowing your request going into the region once it fails into another region.
So I
But
can choose
have
geography, like whether it's
yes, you can.
US.
Yeah.
Okay, so it
So
doesn't move out of the entire geography, right? So I'm very
yeah,
concerned
yeah.
about that. Okay.
Yes, I'll talk about that, your concern, because I understand that you are thinking about the compliance. Just let me bring
Correct.
another angle here. There's
Yeah.
something we call the application, and I'll share the document that can definitely help your developers to understand what is the capability and what's the pros and cons are there, right? So you can
Right.
definitely go through. But in nutshell, I'll just try to give you the difference. Uh, as I said, cross region reference means we have a set of regions for, and if you go with that profile, so one regions fails, another regions, your request would be going into another regions.
Okay.
There's something we call the application, inference. Yeah. So you can choose actually the region as well. And the entire purpose of having application inference is in many of the SaaS provider. If you look at the SaaS provider, they build the applications and they share with the different customer. They would like to track the cost. So in that situation, it's become very tricky. Like, how to track the cost. So
Hmm.
application inference can help you. But in application inference, there is a capability you can tell that your request should not be going into this particular region. So you can decide that which region would be a good fit for your. And if you have the compliance, so let me just address that part, and I'm going to tell you because I see many customers ask these questions. Uh, all the request which goes to your models into Bedrock, do you capture the information? First of all, this is
Yes.
the
I,
question
I
generally.
wanted to ask that. Will you be
Okay,
using that to retrain the models,
no.
like content training? I hope
Absolutely
I'm.
not. No. So let me tell you, because this is not the you only. I mean, I see many other customer ask this question. So we don't use your data for any kind of model training or retraining or maybe fine tuning. We don't do it. So rest assured that it is not. I mean, it's all there. I mean, you can go and check it. Right? There's nothing like that. Right. So I hope it has given the idea. What's the purpose of cross region inference, and how we ensure that the compliance. There are many other things I can talk about. For example, auditing purpose. Let's say
Right.
we have like observability in place. If you go into Bedrock, you can enable, so all the API calls are tracked using CloudWatch and the CloudTrail. So you can go ahead in a CloudWatch on the dashboard, you can look into those things. So there's an option for that, right?
Great.
So,
So,
and
so this
one
is
question.
helpful actually,
Yeah.
Anil, because you mentioned about application inference profile. That is really helpful to us as a
Mhm.
SaaS company, because for each of our insurance customers, we would like to individually track their cost by
Yeah.
tagging them. Otherwise, it's very difficult to track usage for each of them. So, I think application inference profile really fits for us. And
Yeah.
the part that you mentioned about the geographically scoped profiles, that's also great, so our data is not moving out of those regions. This is really great information. But one thing I'm really curious about is, we spoke about using multiple models in our workflow, but if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, there is something called as intelligent routing in Bedrock. I thought it
Yeah.
can automatically select the models rather than us going and implementing it ourselves. Is there such
Yeah.
a feature?
Yeah, let me just quickly give you the info. Yes, we call that intelligence routing. Basically, the whole idea is, I mean, if you look at, let's say there's a model, and if you ask questions like, what is the capital of certain country, right? Do you think that it would be very big deal because the capital of certain country is already,
Yeah.
available, and most of the models are aware of. It's not required a lot of reasoning. So of course, it
Right.
should be going to the model which not required a lot of, I mean, it's a very small model would help. But if you ask a very complex question which required a lot of reasoning, so of course it should be going to the model which got a good reasoning power. So
Okay.
how we can ensure, because if I pass the same prompt to the intelligent model, so of course it is going to cost you more rather than you
Right.
pass to the small agent. So how we can go ahead and make a balance. So we have the we call the prompt routing as well. So it can prompt. I mean, it can send the prompt to the right model into the same model family. Yes. So
Got it.
answer
This
is
is
yes. There's
automatic.
option.
This is
Yeah,
all
it's
automatic. I
automatically.
don't have to code
Yes,
anything.
as I said, it's a managed service. Bedrock is managed service. Most of things is all taken care by AWS. You have not to worry about it. Yes, there's the mechanisms to do it. I mean, of course, it is going to be automatic. And
Hmm.
one thing I would like to just quickly tell you, it happens within the same model family. It's not like, for example,
Okay,
you are
not
going to
cross
send it to Claude.
dependent.
No,
Okay,
no, it's like a same model family. Yeah,
got
yeah. So in the yeah. So any other questions, for now you have right now?
Um,
I
no, I
think
mean, I think you've covered most of them. A little bit, if you can talk about if there are any plans that I can leverage to reduce my costs, or you can tell me about that, or what are my next steps. I'm very
yeah.
keen to know. I've got this information, but I don't know what I should do next.
Yeah, so I'll definitely talk about. I mean, first let me give you the plan. First, you should let. I mean, open. I mean, if you have account, that's great. Let your, all. I mean, the employee or kind of team who is willing to start working on that. So start with that. You can go to the next slide. I think that's the informations I have already shared with you, I believe. Yeah, so you can just go and prepare. I mean, have your team, and then start with the a kind of POC,
Hmm.
have a valid POC and test it and test all the different kind of accuracy, latency for each stage. As I said, it's not, I mean, the solution that we are looking for, it's not a one model solutions. We can use the multi-model for the
Hmm.
different tasks. And of course, we can set up another call to discuss the complete architecture with your team and would definitely help you. So the first compare a different kind of, the POC that you're going to build, test
Hmm.
it and look at if it is meeting your business goal, all the metrics, and then move to the production side. And then what we call like have the monitoring in place, kind of observability. All these things you need to take care of, right? So in the interest of time, I would, because I have another meeting planned, so I would like you to quickly go through this part and we can have another setup meeting. So we can discuss more on that. I hope it has helped you to make decisions like how to select the right model for your use case.
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. This has been super useful and insightful, Anil, and my team is really going to thank you for all that. But before
Yeah.
we leave, maybe you could share some insights with our audience about this
Yes,
interaction.
I have one point to share. I mean, before I hand over to Prasad. Yeah, thanks everyone. And I know, this 1 hour, which me and Parna try to, simulate kind of, role play, how SA talks to customer and how we try to discover the, what is the problem customer is facing and help as a SA, how to help customer to make informed decisions, right? So the one thing that I have learned in my career, and I would like to share the same things with all of you, uh, and I would quote one thing, very simple things: the art and science of asking question is the source of all knowledge, right? So as a essay, what is important, I see you need to know how to ask question. Maybe I'm not sounding great here in the 1 hour, but yes, we have to prepare and go for, understand what customer is looking for. So it's the art of asking question. This is really important for being essay. Yeah, so I hope it was little informative for you to understand how to, deal with the difficult customer like Perna. But yeah, so thank you very much. Have a great day. Yeah, that's me.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
over
much,
to you.
again, Prasad.
Yeah, thank you.
No, thanks, Anil. Thanks, Prana. This was really great. We'll keep moving as we have a lot of agenda to cover. So I'm going to add to the screen Jeff and Raj for our next section. But thanks so much again, Anil and Parna. This was really informative. And see, to the audience, I know that there are a lot of questions and we try to answer most of them, but still, obviously, there are questions that are unanswered. Feel free to use the Discord channel for those questions. And remember, we get our audience that are at different levels in their learning journey. So we need to cater to everyone. So if you are ahead in a journey, then please be patient. And if you are thinking that, I am behind the journey, nothing like that. We do have videos which are, recorded previously in the previous batches, which will help you understand the, basic AWS services as well as the fundamentals of AWS GenAI services. So feel free to go through them. Cool. With that, let's move on to our next section, which is Raj and Jeff talking about SA mindset. I'll remove Parna and Anil from the screen, and I'll let Jeff and Raj introduce themselves.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from all over the world. Welcome to the second week of BISA and the first week of our behavioral track. My name is Jeff Escott. I'm a principal SA here at AWS, and I've been working for close to 30 years in roles in the enterprise and solution architecture space, and really kind of grown a passion over the years in terms of helping develop emerging and growing architects in this. And in the series starting today and through the rest of this, we'll really kind of show you how AI is an augmenting tool in your toolbox of things you have available to you as an SA, not a replacement. And I'm joined here by my colleague, Raj.
Hey everyone, Raj Menon, excited to be here. I'm with AWS and I'm in a customer solutions role where we work with customers to help them get the most out of AWS cloud capabilities. So what we're going to do today is we are going to role play. Jeff is playing his real life role of an enterprise architect, and I'm playing the role of a kind of a mid-career solutions architect who is starting to explore AI, has concerns about AI and how to use AI, and also has concerns if AI is going to take away many aspects of the role. So this conversation is kind of walking through some scenarios that Jeff as an architect runs into, and then how we can use AI to add more value as architects. That said, Jeff, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay. So, Jeff, can I be honest with you? Last week, I watched a demo where someone typed a few sentences into ChatGPT, and it generated a full three-tier architecture diagram of a retail analytics platform, right? Literally took 90 seconds. And I was thinking that would have taken me at least a day and a half, right?
Mhm.
So tell me, I mean, are we obsolete?
I saw that same demo as well, and I could see how it might, rattle some people. You know what? Let me ask you, like, as you watched that and afterwards, when you saw the architecture, did you trust it?
Well, when it looked right to me, I saw VPC, I saw subnets, I saw load balancers,
Mhm.
RDS. I mean, looked like a clean architecture to me.
Sure. And it looked right, and it probably works. However, did it account for the customer's on-prem Oracle database that they have zero desire or willingness to migrate? The Did it deal with the compliance teams requiring data redundancy, resilient data residency in Frankfurt? And the CTO who got burned by Lambda cold starts in the past and now has a distrust of serverless.
No, obviously not.
Right. And and I think that's kind of the whole point here is AI, it gave a technical plausible architecture, something that will work, it will run. However, our job as architects isn't now and really hasn't ever been about just the technical plausibility. It's about navigating the messy human, political, budgetary reality that we live within our own environment and our customers. That's what we can do. And that's not what AI can do for us right now.
But how long do you think before it can?
Certainly, I think that's a question that's out there, and I like to maybe think about a different question, and think about when calculators arrived, and I know that's before both of our times. However, did mathematicians disappear? No. Now, the people who could only do arithmetic, and that's why they relied on the calculator, sure, they had a problem. However, those who understand, why you solve certain equations and when to apply which model, what results mean in context, those people became even more valuable. And I like to think of AI as our calculator and where the ever-growing mathematicians. So the question to me isn't whether it replaces us. It's whether you're the architect who only does arithmetic, or are you the one who understands the math and know how to apply the equations?
That's a fair point. But just in reality, right, Jeff, you've been an architect for many years. How has your day-to-day actually changed with AI?
Yeah, let's talk through kind of a recent example that I had. It was 3 weeks ago with a new engagement that I was working on, mid-size healthcare company dealing with patient data analytics platform on AWS. Okay, so old world. What would I do? Day one would be reading HIPAA documentation, kind of just getting understanding of the landscape of things. Day two would be comparing things like Redshift and Athena and Elastic Map Reduce in terms of what could be the technical components of a solution. And then finally, like day three, kind of really getting into the first draft of the architecture. So you can see that a lot of work over multiple days. I'm reading a lot. I'm researching a lot of things.
Well, that sounds like my workflow too.
Yep. I mean, it's what we all have been doing. It's what we were taught to do. Old world, let's look at the new world. Like, what did I actually do? Well, I opened up Claude and I said, compare, I started with a prompt. Hey, compare AWS, Redshift, Athena, and EMR for healthcare analytics workload processing. It's about 2 terabytes of patient data. It must be HIPAA compliant. Oh, and by the way, consider cost, query performance, and think about S3 data lake integration. Within minutes, I got a detailed comparison table laying out the strengths, limitations, cost comparisons, HIPAA considerations. So what used to take me, multiple days, I was able to do, while my coffee was brewing.
So you're saying you saved 2 days. Now that scares me. That's terrifying from a job security standpoint.
And on the surface, absolutely, it can be scaring. And if you're that mathematician who did get replaced by the calculator, sure. However, the AI output, it was good. It certainly saved me some time, and it probably got me 70 to 75% of the way there. But there's things that it didn't do. First, it did recommend Redshift serverless, technically sound, but this customer finance team runs on a fixed annual budget. They can't handle variable monthly costs, so they need something like a provisioned provisioned service with reserved instances. AI didn't know that. It just went for the best. It just looked for a way to solve the problem. It mentioned HIPAA compliance. However, it kept it very surface level. It missed that their use case involves cross-account data sharing with a research university, which triggers a completely different set of compliance conversations around de-identification under the HIPAA safe harbor law. And third, AI suggested the standard 3 availability zone deployment. While technically sound, this customer had a previous AZ outage that made some news. Their board now mandates that they are, active multi-region for patient facing things. So this is a requirement from their company, sort of politically based. It's not a technical one.
So what are you saying that is that you layered all this knowledge on top of the AI output?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So the AI output was really just my starting point versus, my ending point. It did a lot of research for me. I needed to validate it. I added the customer context. I adjusted for the, the political, environmental aspects of the customer, the budget, and then I delivered a final architecture in 4 hours instead of 3 days. I really focused on the higher value things of, how and why this would work for the customer versus just what is the technical aspects of the solution. It's higher quality work than I would have produced, if I just worked solo and did all this like myself, like the old world, because AI freed me to focus on those high judgment pieces of this versus, doing a lot of the research.
Nice. So if I understand this right, AI handled the what and you handle the why and the how, right? Is that correct?
That's a good way to think about it. Yeah. Remember the framing, it's the entire thesis. AI provides the what, and you, the SA, provide the why and the how. In solution architecture, for those of you who've spent time in it and those of you who are aspiring into it, the why and the how are just as important, value props in the solution as it technically working, because the solution has to work for your team, for your customer, in the environment and with the constraints that they have.
Okay. Now, can you help me kind of break this down, right?
Mhm.
What do I hand off to AI versus what do I keep in my code?
Yeah, the way I've kind of done it for myself and the way I talk with others about it is this mental model around research versus judgment split. Simple rule. If it can be looked up, it's research. AI does it. AI does it well, and AI is going to do it faster than I can do it. If it requires judgment under uncertainty, that's something you absolutely, as the SA, need to be doing today. So, things to hand off to AI, knowledge retrieval things, comparing different, cloud services, comparing different technologies, summarizing documentation that you may get. The example here, HIPAA documentation, it's really long. You can use it to summarize. Synthesizing things across, different cloud providers from their documentation to find the best answers. Ask for it to look for, pattern generation and things. It can look for things that are appearing that might look like here's where we could have event-driven architectures, or here we could have microservices or data lake kinds of things. It's good at understanding where it can find patterns. It's good at code generation. It's good at infrastructure as code, whether it's generating Terraform or CloudFormation, as well as manifests for container environments. And then finally, documentation. Once you have been the human in the loop kind of validating all this, you can use it to generate the drafts of the documentation for presentations, for diagrams, for solution architecture documents, and architecture decision records, which, believe me, as someone who spent many, many years of my career kind of doing those documentations, I know they are valuable and necessary. It takes a lot of work for us to do it. Those are great things to hand off to AI.
Okay, so then what stays with us then as architects?
Customer environmental specific, constraints, some of the things we were talking about before, whether there might be a bias against certain technologies or certain things like budgetary constraints, politics within organizations. Very important to understand team capabilities. You can ask any one of the models out there to, here's my scenario and I need a solution for it. And it's going to, lay out for you the best, most technically brilliant working solution. However, what if this is a team that hasn't built anything new in 15 years? You have to work with what the capabilities are of the team and their risk tolerance levels. Stakeholder management. AI doesn't interact with the people in the room making the decision, the skeptical CTO, the cost-conscious CFO, the always looking out for danger CISO. So you have to work and navigate those people, those stakeholders, and their biases and their concerns. And then also like the architecture trade-off and analysis, like you have to do that, making those trade-offs of when we might want to prioritize something like availability over consistency. As I say, we're always making decisions over the give and take of different things because we don't have unlimited budgets and we don't have unlimited time. And then, the long-term strategic thinking, like where is the business going to be going in 3 to 5 years? You need to be thinking about, how you can be setting the foundation for right now and for what there is to come and what could possibly be coming inside your environment.
Okay. So if I were to just summarize it, right, AI handles what has the right answer, and then as architects, right, we can look up and we handle the judgment in the case of ambiguity. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's really the kicker there. It is the judgment under ambiguity. As essays, we live in the gray space, kind of the space in between, very binary things. And it's what customers, managers, really rely on us for, is being able to, make decisions, sometimes with limited information, understanding kind of the environment we're in. And AI really eliminated the least valuable, kind of most tedious part of our jobs. So, I've learned that my reaction shouldn't be fear over these tools, and really look at it. It's a relief because it can help me and accelerate me through those, the toil and the tedious things that I used to spend a lot of time doing.
Right. Now, I get the different pieces. So can you just kind of walk me through the actual workflow, right? How do you approach an engagement now using AI?
Yeah. So I really kind of work in what I call, a 3-loop workflow. And so each one of the engagements that I do has these 3 phases, and AI plays a role in each one of these phases. So I'll give you a map of it today, and I'll kind of, highlight where we can go deep into each one of these in the future. So loop 1, I call it discovery and framing. And here, AI is the research assistant. So think about this, like before you walk into a customer meeting, AI can do heavy lifting on research, the research of the company that you're going to have a meeting with, the industry trends for that customer, the regulatory landscape, the competitor out there and the competitor patterns. So you can get a bunch of information. And then after that meeting that you have your notes, you might even have transcript summaries from the meeting. You can have AI, read through those things, find gaps in what you forgot to ask, and then you can show up even more prepared and leave behind fewer blind spots of that meeting. And in our week 3, we're going to focus exactly on this, kind of how to compress that days of prep into hours without sacrificing the quality. Then loop 2, architecture design. This is AI as a design partner, and I really kind of emphasize, partner here. And this is where I think, AI kind of really starts to earn its keep. Whether it's generating reference architectures or service comparisons or, infrastructure as code templates, AI generates the starting points of these designs. And then you need to apply your judgment as the SA to make it real for the customer, your team, the environment that you're in. And always remember as you're going in this phase, 3 simple questions that kind of use as a filter before you let this artifact, this document that you're working on, this architecture decision, leave your hands and go out to anyone else. 1, does it match the actual constraints of what you're dealing with right now? Have you validated these claims that you're making and that it works? And can you defend it in a room of skeptics? Because I don't think there's an SA out there who hasn't proposed something who isn't going to get some questions on why that, why solve it this way now, and have you thought about this other thing? You have to be prepared to answer those questions. And in our week 4 and 5, we're really going to get hands-on with this, including, prompts that you can use and validation techniques that separate, good AI assisted design from what I'll call, sloppy AI assisted design. And finally, loop 3, delivery and communication. AI as the writing assistant. It's great that you did all this research. It's great that you came up with this architecture, but at some point you're going to have to talk about it and present it to somebody. And AI can draft your executive summaries, your architecture decision records. Heck, it can even help you, create your presentation outlines, and you can talk to it about how you might formulate those things differently and talk tracks that you might have. The communication strategy, who gets told what, in what order, in what framing, that's still yours. So you can kind of role play scenarios of, hey, what if there's a skeptical CIO? What are things that I should emphasize? But you have to tell the model that I'm dealing with these kinds of things. And we'll touch on that in weeks 5 and 6 as we talk about how to present and defend your architecture recommendations.
Great. Yeah. Looking forward to those sessions. But just going back to your 3 loops in a mental model, right? Great, right? Mm-hmm. Discovery and design and then delivery, right? So yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that mental model and your approach. So at every stage you're using AI for speed and coverage, and you are the quality gate, correct?
Yep. Okay. I like to kind of think of it as like the AI tools are my summer interns. When I have led and continue to lead summer interns, they're wonderful additions to my team. I find they work fast, they take direction well, and they'll produce designs and working code and even documentation. However, my role is to give those directions and review the artifacts and decisions, and then provide guidance back to them on how to improve their work going forward. The same thing holds true when you as the SA use AI tools. That it's your job to provide the direction, the leadership. The tools augment you. However, you have to fine tune everything to get to that finished product that you're looking for.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. Oh, makes sense. So I feel there is a deeper shift here beyond just use AI tools, right? Mm-hmm. What is it? Yeah, can you walk me through that?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of shift of identity of SA. For years our value was our knowledge. We would race after certifications and memorize services and be able to compare them, at the top of our head, and who could recite EBS volume differences from memory. It's kind of a moat, like this knowledge moat, and AI filled that knowledge moat for us. However, knowledge wasn't always, the most key thing that we were valued for. The real mode is always about synthesis, taking those technical capabilities, those business requirements, the human constraints, risk tolerance, and synthesizing all of that together into a coherent architecture that works in the real world. And that's so important. We live in this real world. We don't live in this vacuum where we have unlimited skill, unlimited ability, unlimited budget to do these things. Dealing with these requirements takes experience and empathy and creativity and judgment, things that AI doesn't yet do for us. And that is, where our identity is even further growing.
So if I understand correctly, it's not I'm valuable because what I know or memorize, but I'm valuable because of how I think.
Yep.
Correct?
The architects who thrive will use AI, and they'll use it aggressively for knowledge heavy work, investing them to free themselves up into deeper conversations and relationships with customers, and spend more time in like that sharp strategic thinking. The ones who struggle will cling to knowledge as their identity. It's like, I know more about this service or this technology than anyone else. And it's like, that's not true, because anyone else can go ask your favorite model to give me an answer based upon that documentation really, really fast. So those who kind of rely on knowledge as their identity, they're going to resist AI because it feels that like they're admitting that they're not needed.
No, that's so true. So many times I've kept thinking, like, hey, I should actually read the docs, not just ask AI to summarize. I felt like I was cheating.
Certainly it can feel that way, and just think about it like this: like, is it cheat? A surgeon who doesn't refuse to use an MRI because they feel like they should diagnose by touch. Are they cheating because they use the MRI to aid their clinical judgment, or are they using a wonderful piece of technology to help them make the best decision for their patient? I think that's the model that we're in. It's recognized that these tools help us get better answers.
Yeah. So, Jeff, we talked about a lot of things, right? So can you give me 3 things to focus on starting Monday?
Yeah. I think one, start every engagement by briefing, the AI tool that you're using on the customer, kind of getting into that research part. What's the industry? What's the tech stack they have? What are the constraints? Maybe what keeps their CTO up at night? The better your briefing to the AI tool is, the better the output that you're going to get. 2, build a library of power prompts, and we'll discuss this in future weeks. Recognize that there's going to be a set of, standardized prompts that you can use in every environment that you're in. Like, what are the top 5 operational risks in the first 90 days? If the budget were cut 40%, what would you have to sacrifice? These can become like powerful tools in your quiver. And 3rd, never skip the validation. AI can hallucinate, AI can be wrong, and it can give you information that sounds supremely confident even when it's wrong. Always trust but verify. You need to be the human in the loop before anything kind of leaves your hands and goes out to your team or your customer.
Tell you what, I came into this conversation scared, and now I'm leaving excited. Is that weird?
No, I don't think. I'm excited too. I think there's no better time in history to be a solution architect. I almost wish these things were earlier in my career. The tedious parts about our job are getting automated. However, the value add, the interesting, honestly, the fun stuff about our job, the strategic thinking, the creative problem solving, the human connection that we get to have with people is even more valuable. AI is your assistant. It's not your replacement. The architects who figure out that first, that it's your assistant, will have an enormous advantage over them. Now, Raj, you're one of them.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on a new customer engagement starting Monday. I'm going to, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start briefing Claude on the customer, right? Get started there.
I think that's great. And just remember those three questions, like, what the model gives you back. Does it match the actual constraints? Does it validate the claims, and can you defend it in a room of skeptics? And that's really the whole game.
The whole game. Thanks, Jeff. That was very helpful.
Sure thing, Raj. Now go out there and go be dangerous with your newfound skill.
Thank you all. Back to you, Prasad.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. I loved the discussion, and I was totally hooked with what you were discussing, and something that comes up in my role every day as an SA, right? And I have these kinds of questions and try and help us those kinds of questions. So thanks for the conversation. There is a very one good question, which is, what AI tools do you use as an SA? And I think this will come in the future sessions, right? We have the full behavioral sessions planned, and this is one of the topics that we'll be talking about as an SA. What is our toolkit? But if I talk about a quick experience of mine, one of my my partner, they do well-architected reviews quite a lot. So they're a big well-architected review partner. So they do quite many in a month or so. So one of the solutions architect in the AWS partner, they said that every week they were able to do 1 or 2 well-architected reviews before. Now they're able to do 6 or 7. So that's the level of productivity enhancement that they get. And in one of the future session we can share it. So there is a new well-architected review created by few SAs which uses generative AI. So all you do is provide some information, all the questions that we as SA used to do manually, ask manually and derive manually. That is all done by generative AI, and I'm sure they're updating it for Agentic AI now. So it increases the productivity. So as you mentioned, it's like, it helps us to do more now with less. So that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So let's keep moving. And I'll add Parna to the stage for the last session. Parna, are you there? I don't see you on camera, but I'm going to add you to the screen because you will be vital for this last section. So thanks, Jeff, and thanks, Raj. We will move to the next section for the workshop. Cheers.
Yeah, just share my screen. Just give me a moment.
Give me one moment, Parna. First, let me share the screen and talk about one thing, and then I'll hand it over to you to go through this week's workshop. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, very quickly, I know people are asking and becoming impatient about when they will get the email. They will be getting the email now. So the emails are scheduled to be starting at this point. So it's all bulk emails scheduled beforehand with the access code for everyone who have registered for the slot 1. So anyone who has registered for the slot 1 between 10 a.m. GMT Thursday and 10 a.m. GMT Saturday, they would be getting an email at 4:30 p.m. GMT. For slot 2 and slot 3, they will be getting email 30 minutes before the start time, right? So you would be getting an email, and with that email, you would be able to get the link through which you will be able to access. So if I talk about the email, the email would look something like this, which would have the workshop instruction, the FAQ and everything. So please go through the FAQ, please go through the workshop instruction. And the link that would be there, that would take you to a page like this, where you will be able to log in through one-time email password. And once you do that, you would be able to enter the environment. And from there, you will be able to do it. So in case if you feel that you have not got the email by now, it should be hitting your inbox in next 10 minutes max, because it's scheduled to do it now. So it takes some time to send thousands of email. If you do not have it, that means that it is there in your spam. The email delivery is done. We have checked, it is with 99.99% delivery success. And if any email that has not been sent, we go and check into the backend email system and we send it across. So it would be there in your spam. So please do check that. That's all, Parna, that I had to share. Please feel free to share your screen.
Yeah, just give me a minute. Hope you are able to see the screen. It shows the workshop studio.
Yes.
All right. I'll be sharing a slide also, Prasad, shortly. So I'll just quickly go through this and I'll share that. All right, everyone. So this week's workshop is really exciting. You're going to build a weather AI agent, and it's fairly simple. You are not expected to be coding. The code is all given to you. Just you need to understand the building blocks, how to use the Bedrock client service to connect to the Bedrock runtime. Choose your model, choose your region, and then how you are going to choose your tools, right? So obviously a agent is if you just use an agent with an LLM, it's not of much use, right? It's just like you talking to a chat GPT and it's just giving you answers. You wanted to do intelligent stuff, you wanted to act. So the act part comes when it uses tools. So in this particular workshop, the tool you're going to be using is a interface, an API. It's a weather surface API, which it's going to intelligently select, and it's going to curate a URL. Of course, the LLM is not the one which is going to be executing or running that URL. It is the agent. The LLM is the one which is going to be building that API URL for you. Okay, so that's a little overview. I'll give a better overview with my slides, but some things to take care of over here. So since you're in a event setup, there are few steps that you'll still need to do in this particular workshop. It's not that every environment is set up. You will have to go and set up your Python environment. So ensure that you run these steps. People who are not familiar with coding, this particular step is just creating an isolated environment for Python. So this is more relevant when you are a developer and you have multiple projects you're working on. So one Python environment will make use of different packages or a different version. So that's when you create virtual environments. So these steps, I know you're just working on one project, but this is more relevant when you're working on multiple projects and multiple environments. Okay, so you need to do this. You will be given a VS Code environment. This will look like this. Okay, so this looks almost like VS Code. If any of you have used VS Code, it's an IDE, integrated developer environment, where you write your code. It looks very similar to this. You won't have to write much code. Most of the code you will see has been given over here. Okay, so if you go to the steps, the code has been pretty much given to you, but I'll suggest that do not blankly just copy paste the code. There is the clip button over here for you to copy it and paste it into your files. But I would suggest, if you have any AI tool and you're not very familiar with programming, just put this code, then try to understand what is happening over there. You will realize there are multiple steps, multiple functions which are involved, which I'll show you shortly in a illustrated manner. So for those who don't really understand coding, they'll understand what is exactly happening in the workflow. So run your code through some AI tool to understand also what the code is doing. This is one thing that I want you to remember. Another thing is, during the workshop, there'll be a stage where you will set up a Streamlit web app. Okay, so when you run your Streamlit web app, it will look something like this, and there's going to be a pop-up on the right hand side which will give you the link to your web app, which will open in the browser. So it might happen that you might miss that pop-up, because it's happened to me also, and you might wonder, how do I open this? So just remember, in case you miss looking at the pop-up which comes over here as soon as you start the Streamlit app, all you need to do is go back to your console. This is the URL to your IDE that you'll get. Once you enter your workshop, look down, you'll see event outputs, and this is the URL which takes you to your IDE. Okay, so you need to note down the first part, the CloudFront part. Okay, you'll see it matches over here, followed by ports. Okay, followed by ports. / and the port number 8501. So this is only if you miss looking at the pop-up, because the pop-up goes away after a little bit. Okay, if you notice it, you can just click it. I'm just telling you in case you don't realize, this is how you get to it. I'll repeat again. Enter your CloudFront's domain over here. You will get it from your workshop over here at the bottom, the first part. Okay, followed by ports, and 8501 is the port number. Okay, the port number is over here also, 8501. Okay, so if you try to click over here, this will not open it. Okay, so these are the few things you need to remember. Now, just going back to what the workshop is about, just to break it down into clear concepts. Just give me a minute. Let me pull up. All right, so what you're building over here is an agent. Now, how is an agent different from directly talking to an LLM? Remember, the agent is not only going to ingest your problem statement, it is going to be planning, and after plans and reasons, it's going to be taking actions. Okay, so it is actually going to do something about it. You would have listened to our conversation in the last session between me and Ashish, where we said in generative AI, it is just giving you an output. It's not really doing anything. So if you ask for an itinerary, it will give you an itinerary. It will not go ahead and book anything for you. However, here we are setting up the building block of a weather AI agent, which will not only take the tentative location from you in natural language. So it's not necessary you will give things like just give me the weather forecast for Chicago, or give me the weather forecast for Seattle. You could give anything. You could just give a landmark. You could give a zip code. And the LLM is smart enough to go and gather what are the coordinates, the latitude, longitude for it. And then it is going to see, okay, now I've got this information. What else can I do? My goal is not met. What will I cannot give latitude and longitude to the user, right? That's not the weather. Okay, so what tools do I have with me? So that's when it will realize that, hey, I've got this API I can call. So let me create the API URL. So remember, the LLM is not the one which is making the call. It is just going to create the API URL, and then the agent itself is going to execute it using the curl command. Okay, so you'll see that in this workshop, there are some key functions which are there. Okay, the call Claude Sonnet is the brain. Okay, this is the one which is going to be calling your Sonnet 4.5. That's your LLM. Okay, so it's going to pass the prompt and the calling is going to happen here. Execute curl is another function you'll see over here. That's the one which is going to run the curl statement with the API that the LLM has created for you. Okay, so this is your hands. It's doing the actual work. There's a function called as generate API calls. Okay, so here is the planning going on. As soon as you give it the goal, tell me the weather of a place, then it has to start thinking, right? Okay, how do I find out the weather of the place? So the planning will be such that it is going to create the API URL for you, and using that API URL, it's going to retrieve some information, and using that information, it is going to give you the details. Okay, the last function that you see here, process the response. Okay, this is another function. This is the one which is going to reconciliate all the information that it has got. So who's going to reconcile it? Again, it's the LLM over here. The brain is going to collect that information. Remember, when you call an API, you do not get it in a natural language. It comes in the form of a JSON, for example. It comes in some structured data that has to be created into natural language, human understandable format. And who's going to do that? Again, the LLM is going to do that, which will happen in this function. One piece of code you'll notice where is this bedrock configuration happening. So we are using Boto 3, which is AWS's Python SDK. Okay, so you will see in your steps, we are going to install that in your environment. Using that, we are going to create something called as a Bedrock client. Okay, so we need to talk to the Bedrock service. So we create a client which is going to talk to the Bedrock runtime. Now, who does Bedrock talk to? We have to tell it that behind you, there are n number of models. I need to talk to X model. So we need to provide the name of the model or the ID, and we also give the region. Okay, so certain models are available only in certain regions. So you have to give that information as well. Okay, so this is what is happening over here. So now what is exactly happening in this entire workshop is there are two parts where the brain is invoked. The brain is the LLM. One is the planning time, that what do I need to do to get to my goal of giving the weather. That is the planning brain. And at the end, to collate that information and give a response. That's when the brain is used at 2 points of time. Where is the execution engine? So this is the agent which is going to actually do the curl command or run the curl command using that API URL that the LLM has given to it. So there are different steps that it's going to go through. Okay, so first is, as soon as you give it the name of a city, or you can give it a landmark, or you can give it a zip code, or you can give it a tentative place. You can say the city where White House is located. Okay, something like that. So the LLM is very smart. What it's going to do is it's going to go and find out tentatively which place you are talking about, and it's going to retrieve the latitude and longitude. Now, within the code, you will see there are two APIs we are using. One is the points API. Now, the points API requires latitude and longitude. You cannot give it tentative information like that, the city where White House is, right? You have to give it latitude, longitude. So the LLM is the one which will retrieve this latitude, longitude, and it was going to create that API URL, points API URL, and then there's a call going to be made by the extract URL. Okay, so that's going to make a curl call. Once that data is retrieved, we still don't have our weather information. Okay, we still don't have it. What do we have? We have something called as the forecast office and the grid. Okay, you'll notice in your code, it's the forecast office code as well as the X and Y grid. So that information is required to form something called as the forecast API, and that when we run it, that's when we get the actual forecast. Okay, now obviously this particular forecast API, again, it's going to give it in a JSON format, which is not human understandable. So what do we need again? We again need an LLM to decipher what has come back and display to us in a human readable format. Okay, so this is this will give you a clear picture what is actually going to happen in your code. Okay, so the user is going to give a location or a zip code or a tentative location. Like I said, they can even say Niagara Falls. Okay, now one thing I want you to note over here is we are using the National Weather Service API, which covers only US locations. Okay, so don't be disappointed if you put in your locale and you don't get your expected answer, because this caters only to US locale. So try to put in locations for experimental purposes. You can put in other locations also. It has been designed such that it should not fail. Okay, so the lab will not fail. It will just give you a message that this is not covered, etc. Okay, now say you put in a US location. What is this agent sitting here going to do? It's going to send this information. It's going to prompt your Sonnet via the Bedrock client that I showed you and tell it this is the information I've got. There is a prompt. If you see the code, there is the entire structured prompt which tells Sonnet what to do. Okay, so it tells Sonnet that you are a weather agent. You have to you have access to this API. You have to create this API, find out the tentative coordinates and make it. It also gives it some examples so that Sonnet knows how to make that API URL. Remember, if it gives an incorrect URL, the execution will fail. The curl command won't be able to run. Sonnet then responds back with the points API URL. Once that's there, then the agent is the one who is running it. So that's what I kept reiterating. LLMs do not run your APIs. Okay, so the agent is the one which is going to run it. It's going to hit the points API, return you some metadata and some weather forecast URL. It doesn't give you the actual forecast. Okay, it will just come back with a URL and some other additional data. What the agent next does, it has to extract. There is going to be some data extraction that's going to happen at this stage. It's going to retrieve that forecast URL, and then it is going to again make a curl command and hit the forecast API. Okay, that's when you get your actual weather data. And this weather data is in raw format, like I said. Okay, you cannot present it to the user, so it has to be again sent to Sonnet. Okay, so process this raw data and give it a nice format. So again, you'll see there is a prompt over there which is telling Sonnet how to format it, and it will give it in a nice fancy fashion back to you, and it is displayed. Okay, so this is exactly what is happening. And so frankly, you can just go and give it some description. You might say, what is so intelligent about it over here? Now, if I would have just been doing normal API calls, if I would have given a tentative instruction like this, National Park near Homestead, okay, any other code-based API wouldn't have been able to do this. But because I'm giving it to an LLM, the AI is going to figure out automatically the coordinates. From the coordinates internally, it will make the API calls, extract the URLs, make further API calls, and give you the answer in natural language in a pretty format. Okay, so what's going to happen? What is happening is natural language is converted into weather forecast. Okay, what is so agentic about it, you might ask me? Okay, so something is called, or an application is called agentic, or a pattern is called agentic when it has these particular patterns that it exhibits. Okay, so it is doing planning, right? As soon as you give it an instruction, the LLM brain behind it, it is analyzing the location. Okay, so if I give Niagara Falls, it has to figure out where it is, right? If I give it White House, it has to figure out, okay, it's in Washington. Okay, so that analysis is done by the AI, and it figures out the latitude, longitude. Then it has to plan. Okay, now what do I need to do? That's not the forecast. I need to create those API calls. Once that is done, then there is action, planning, action. Okay, action is the part where you're going to go and execute those API calls. Okay, there are 2 API calls, like I said, which happens. So that's your action part. Then there's going to be obviously post processing, because you will get some raw data. You cannot directly emit it out to the user. There's going to be some processing, and even to beautify that response, again, you're going to use your LLM. Okay, so because there is planning and action, that's why we will call it agentic. It is automatically doing the reasoning on its own. Okay, so that is where your agentic comes into the picture. I hope that makes sense. And if you now see over here, when you open up this is the web interface of the workshop. Obviously, there are 2 parts of the workshop. One is where you are going to call your Python agent directly. Okay, so the first part, you're creating your Python code over here, the agent, and you can directly call it. The second part is where there is a pretty streamlet that is there at the front end, and this is what you will see. Okay, so for example, over here, you can experiment. Say, I'll give it something like, because I kept on repeating the same things, I'll try something else. Okay, so here it will exactly show you. Okay, so when I told you the points API, now remember, we had given it Miami. Where did this value come from? Okay, this is where the LLM has actually retrieved the latitude and longitude. How did it frame this API call? Because it intelligently prompted it. So take some time to go through this code. Okay, so there is the code is over here. I think it's in the next one. Let's see. Here it's prompting it. Just trying to show you the prompt. Yeah, so take time to go through this prompt. Okay, this is where all the magic is happening. See, you are an expert working on the National Weather Service API. First, determine the approximate latitude and longitude. Okay, so based on whatever I've entered, it will do that. Then it is supposed to generate the API URL. You can see if you've heard about 0-shot, 1-shot, multi-shot prompting, we are giving it examples. Okay, so that doesn't make mistakes. So this is where you're giving it examples, and finally you're being very strict. Return only the API, do not add anything else. Right, so this is where the magic happens the first time when the URL is called. Okay, so if you're wondering how did this URL come out, go and look at that prompt. Okay, the second step, like I told you, this is just going to return you the forecast office and the grid, X and Y grid coordinates. Okay, you just get this information, doesn't give you the forecast. So in the second step, this particular URL is retrieved. Again, go and see the part over here in the code. Yeah, so get forecast URL. Okay, you're going to see it is actually extracting that URL from within the response from the first API. Okay, and finally, once you have that forecast, remember this is also going to call the curl command. Okay, so the agent is going to call the curl command. Okay, this is the function where the actual execution happens. So you can see it is actually making a call. Also go through the error handling part, because it is essential that your agents can fail safely as well if there are errors. Like I said, try to be experimental, try to put in something else and see what is the response, maybe some unknown location, or I can put in something over here itself. So I'm in Mumbai, right? So Mumbai is not covered by the National Weather Service. Let's see what comes. So the code, how it handles when there are errors. Okay, so it should not break the application. So that's also something to learn from. Okay, so you can see over here, it's explained. Mumbai is located in India, and the National Weather Service doesn't provide data for that, for example, right? So you can experiment all of these and then see how it goes for you. So I hope you've got a brief idea of how this works. Prasad, you want to add anything here, or maybe I missed out something?
No, I think you covered it all. There are a lot of questions there which we are trying to answer, but few things. People
Yeah.
who are saying that please share the workshop URL. Anyone who has registered for slot 1, the email has gone out. You would already be having email, and I can see behind in that most of the people are logging in and started using the workshop. If you're registered for slot 2 or slot 3, you will get the email 30 minutes before your slot time starts. You will have 8 hours to do the workshop. Frankly, the workshop does not take more than an hour or couple of hours max.
Correct.
Even if you
Yeah.
do it in your own pace, it should not take you more than a couple of hours, right? So 8 hours window is pretty big in that ways. And anyone who has not registered, we will be sending in the email the video. The video is live now of the walkthrough, right? Of each and every step walkthrough is live, whereas even Parna is explained it in very much detail with the full workflow that how it is going to work. So go through this again and the video, and also the workshop URL, so that you can do it in your own account. We understand people might be busy over the weekend, but that's how it is, at least for this batch. And if you're not able to do it, please do it in your own account. Now, there was a question about we should be able to provide a cost about how much it will be costing. Frankly, it is not much, but we will not be able to provide any specific number or range, because it depends upon how you use it. If you keep it open for long, it might cost you a lot, and we don't want to get into any such, like, we promise that this will be costing this much. So it's not much. If any of the community members want to do it and share it, please do it. But we as official facilitators, we will not be able to provide any cost of how much it is going to be for these workshops. Okay.
Right.
Sorry, go ahead, Parna.
Yeah, so like it says, this particular workshop uses minimal resources. Like you saw, it's just Python code. So the main charges are basically for hosting that IDE. So, but if you keep it running for long, obviously you will, observe high costs. And it can be done in your own accounts also later. So once you've done the coding, you can just go ahead and download the code, right? You can download the Python code, and then you can do experimentation with it as well. So this doesn't use too many resources like the previous workshop. Okay, so it takes minimal time, but it's good that if you try to understand the code at your own time. So I think you should be done. If you don't sit around trying to understand the code, you should be done in 45 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I've pasted the link of FAQ. It includes links to the video of the walkthrough. It includes the link to the direct workshop URL that you can do it in your own account also. But please go through the FAQ. All the questions are answered in it. And if there are still any questions after checking your spam, reach out on the Discord channel. And yeah, we are on time today. So exactly on the mark. So thank you everyone for joining us, and see you all on Discord channel. We have a volunteer pool who would be helping you while you are doing the workshop over the next 24 hours. Let me add other people onto the screen very quickly, whoever is available till now. I see a few folks. If you folks want to come on camera, Anil, Achal, and Mol, thanks again. Yeah, okay, cool. So here are the
Hi, everyone.
Amazonians who were there, and there were a few more who had to drop off. It's a weekend, so everyone has their own schedule. But thank you all.
Thank you, everyone. See you next week.
Till next week.